And
Right.
uh,
Right thing.
next morning, I'm like, the guy's not there, and he's sitting
Wow.
next to us. I'm like, Brian, where's what's
And
his name? Brian's like,
right.
we went out last night, man. He's like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get much sleep, but I'm here, and I'm like, hey, dude, you woke, whatever happened, you still got up and made it, and
Right.
he's like, yeah, you might not see him for a while. He had a rough night, and I just thought that guy had came down from Chicago alone,
Oh
and
wow.
it's so tempting because we're downtown Orlando, and there's all
Yeah.
these, and I just so that's why every night I'm just in the hotel taking like um, like nighttime sleep stuff, just trying
Yes.
to,
Yes.
because he didn't come down here for that. But
Right. True.
if
If it
we
had
would
been a
have
fun
went to
trip.
if we would have went to Vegas, I would have, I don't know if we'd ever got anything, but
Right.
the is you're there to do it, so. Some good
And that's
information at those, but
yeah.
lots of lots of uh, lots of pressure at
Oh yeah.
those events to
Oh yeah.
upgrade.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Tons of pressure. And that's, part of you know, when I got the itch to do this, I had gone to, Clever Summit in 2023. Even before that though, or no, it was Clever Summit 22 is what actually kind of gave me the itch for this. And when I was doing, I was doing at the time the River City REI Roundtable, when I got to the end of that after coming back from Clever Summit, I'm like, I want to invite all the speakers back for December, like meetup, like all the speakers that spoke through the year are going to be panels and all this. And everybody wanted to get, I mean, we had more people in that room than we had all year long, which is what sparked my interest to build that Gateway to Freedom conference. And then when I went to Clever Summit, I was just blown away. It was the first time I had gone to a major conference, like 2,000, 3,000 people in the room and all that. And I was like, holy cow! Like you can upgrade to the if you want to go to the nightclub, it's gonna be like
Yeah,
$3, or whatever. Go to the nightclub. We're gonna have this great event. There's gonna be this top notch DJ performing or whatever. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is. I'm old, but or whatever. But it was like people that went loved it and all that kind of stuff. But it was a great chance to they market it right as a great chance to all the speakers are going to be there. So you go and hobnob with the speakers at this nightclub and talk to them and whatever, blah blah blah. In the meantime, the people that buy the tickets, and I kind of thought of like I can't stand like loud places. But how are
yeah,
you going to network and try to
yeah,
connect to do a deal when all you hear is boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
and you can't hear what the person's saying, right? Sure enough, I got confirmation the next day. I was talking to some of the guys I met, like, hey, how was the nightclub that night? They're like, man, it was great, but you couldn't hear anything. I was like, oh, so you didn't get any deals done? No, man, we couldn't hear. But you may have gotten business cards, you may have whatever, and it does break down walls and stuff, break down barriers, I guess. But it was just funny. So I'm like, when we moved, Gateway to Freedom going to be at the Hollywood Casino this year. I'm like, man, should we have a nightclub package? No.
We went to Limitless the last two. Actually, Limitless 25 was this weekend. I
Is it
didn't
really this coming weekend?
this week, like the last 2 days.
Oh, it
And
was it was just this past weekend?
yeah, so we didn't go. Me and Chrissy didn't go this year. We went the last
Okay.
2 years,
Yeah.
and in 23 when we went, it was in Phoenix, and the last
Okay.
night they had a big bash that everybody was invited. If you
Okay.
went there, they had a band. It was, all
Okay.
the big dogs were there. It was pretty cool. Well, we went
Right.
last year, and and well, the first year we went, they also had like on the second, like the first or second night, you had the option to do the what
Yeah.
you were just talking about. Hey, everybody's going to be at this night,
Okay.
going out to this special. It's not a nightclub there. It's like a high dollar dinner, or whatever. But we didn't do it.
Okay.
So last year, it was like Friday night. We had the option to do that, and we didn't do it. And
Okay.
about the time that they brought everybody back on the buses or the shuttles or whatever, you start seeing everybody coming in, and we're sitting at the hotel bar and talking to a bunch of other people that have been at the conference, and you just see all these people start coming in. Robert Kiyosaki,
Oh
Ken
yeah.
McElroy, all they start coming in off the which we'd already been around all those people at the conference anyway, but they're all coming
Sure.
in
Sure.
from their dinner, and
Yeah.
uh, this young chick, and I don't mean young like illegal. I'm saying probably in the mid 20s.
Sure.
Is
Sure.
walking had Robert Kiyosaki by like his tie, and
Man.
was walking him through and he was like, and they were like they walked through and went towards the rooms, and
Uh,
everybody there is like making like or like looking at each other and kind of like and just thought, well, I guess they were kind of partying, I don't know, but I just I think it was an extra. I can't remember. It was pretty expensive to go to
yeah.
that. And
Oh, sure.
but my point was there was so much other. The whole time there's all these other people that didn't go to that thing either, that are
Right.
all there in the hotel. So there was
Sure.
still really, if you wanted to network and meet people there at the hotel, there's still all kinds of people there that
Oh,
were from
sure.
all over the country that were there. So
Yeah.
you didn't, it's almost like I wonder you might have actually gotten better networking with more serious people, with some really serious people who didn't splurge for that extra,
Yes.
didn't weren't really interested in the seemed like uh in the high roller stuff, where they were just wanting to meet other down to earth people that
Right.
they could talk with. We met some people from southern Iowa, I think it was,
Okay.
that guy reminded me of somebody like I had grown up with out in the. He had cowboy hat, the boots, and they lived in a
That's awesome.
small town of like 800 people, and he was the guy in his county in southern Iowa that people went to with when they wanted to sell a house that needed work, or a rental house or whatever.
Okay.
And it was, it was interesting meeting other people like that all the way down in another part of the country that were just there to try to learn um, more. But I, I feel like the Gateway to Freedom conference is, for obviously it's much less expensive than a conference
Right.
like that.
Right.
The bang for the buck, for the dollars that
Yeah.
you're spending, is just as good. You know what I
Right.
mean? If not, maybe not even better.
Right.
Because there's the star power of having people like Robert Kiyosaki. They had RFK Jr. was there. I mean,
Oh,
some of that
wow.
stuff is really awesome,
Yeah.
but you don't need star power to get really good information from
Right.
somebody. And in fact, there are a lot of people who don't want a bunch of, like, they're quietly really wise and successful, that you could just probably be sitting at the bar with for and never know that they're
Yeah.
killing it if you didn't open up the
Yeah.
conversation correctly.
Right. Yeah, no, that's 100%. You're 100% right. I mean, we want to make sure we're getting folks in the speaking that know what they're talking about, that have success, that can share that. But you're right. There's so much other knowledge that we can't put up on the stage. The person sitting at the bar, during the happy hour, during the VIP happy hour, or
Hmm.
the breakfast. You come in for breakfast on the VIP breakfast, and you sit down next to somebody you hadn't met yet, and you start talking and find out they're doing something you want to do, and so you set up a time to talk to them, or you just sit there and pick their brain while you're sitting there with them right there. I mean, there's so much that people don't realize, that you don't go to the conference just because, oh yeah, I heard that guy speak last year. Should I buy a ticket to hear him speak this year? You're not buying.
Right.
Yeah, part of your ticket is buying to hear the speakers, and that's why we push for some really good speakers. And right now we're lined up to have two, possibly three, really killing it out of state speakers coming. but a lot of them were focused on St. Louis speakers. Again, we're focusing on St. Louis as an incredible place for people to get bang. Talk about bang for their buck, right? And investing, right? I mean, I could sit up there and probably teach a whole half day on just what I'm doing in Cahokia, you know,
Right.
and talk about bang for your buck and stuff. But St. Louis is so attractive to so many people nationwide that I want to highlight St. Louis as a great place for people to spend their money, a great
Right.
place for people to buy properties, and so people like you and people like me that have properties to sell or wholesale or fix and flip or whatever, we're giving out of state buyers good, reasonable, uh, just common sense properties to buy that make money and cash flow on day one. And that's really what I want to do with this thing is I just want to highlight St. Louis as a destination for people to put their investment dollars. And if that means, hey, now we all can, target people that want to be private money lenders for our projects in St. Louis or that want to buy it on the end, be the end buyers when we do rehabs or wholesale a property or whatever. That's where as we start getting more and more folks coming to this conference from out of town, I think they're going to connect the dots naturally.
It's a very desirable, very desirable for a lot of people that live in other markets and I'm not super familiar with a lot of other markets.
Right.
I'm Eastern Missouri, but I see these people, working in property management. Obviously, we manage for people that are all over the country and different parts, and they, they like being here, having their investments here. But another great thing about the Gateway to Freedom experience, in my opinion, also is, I the last couple of years I've done out of town, some out of town. I don't want to say seminars, but like
right.
Meetups or conferences.
Yeah.
And you learn what's going on. It's kind of here. My point there, they're trying to figure out what are the trends across the country. Well, a Great Way to Freedom, you can also you can talk about that as well, because there are people coming in from out of state that are speaking and sharing ideas, that are seeing what's going on in other parts. But you also got all these local people where you can kind of try to find out, what are you guys seeing here? What are the trends? What's the word on the street? What's new? What are the new? And every time I come, I always learn something new as far as things like the when Berkeley dropped their rental restrictions a couple years ago or whatever. I think I didn't even know about that until somebody at Gateway to Freedom told me. Hey,
nice.
I'm doing a deal in Berkeley. And I'm like, aren't you worried about the rental restrictions or whoever you're going to send? They're like, oh, that's, they dropped that.
Oh, man.
So it's stuff, the value of things like that. It just, I was out bowling with Peter and Brian Miller and some other people from the office the night after you had I wasn't able to make at the Mac.
Yeah.
And I walked into the bowling alley, Crestwood Bowl, to meet up with Peter and Brian. And Peter said, hey, did you go to Rich Grove's thing last night down at the Mac? I know he knows I go, sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I wanted to, because I saw it was Dale Sweet.
Right.
And that, I feel like that was probably a really good one, but I had some other stuff I do. And he told me, he goes, dude, he was like, I almost went myself. And
he should have, man.
But the word was on the street, like, that's really good content. Somebody like Dale Sweet is the tax sale master. And tax sales, I've never bought at a tax sale.
Right.
But tax sales are not something that you just walk into and do. So I can only imagine the game that he bestowed upon the crowd.
And it was our biggest crowd of the year so far too. It was packed. but it was great. And he's so good. And the funny thing was, now at the beginning of each of those, when I throw up the slides, thanking our sponsors and whatever, and they're on the slides up there behind me, and I've got a few slides for Gateway to Freedom. He's like, "Man, you didn't even ask me to speak at it." And I was like, "Yeah, no." And he goes, "No, I have something going on that weekend." He goes, "But get me on for next year." So he's actually going to speak next year at Gateway to Freedom, talking about tax sales for sure.
He's
So
a cool dude, man. I've
he is. He is.
talked to him back when Dan White and I were working together back in like
Yeah.
2017 or something. Dan gave me his number. He said, "Hey, I was trying to figure something out." He goes, "You can call this guy. He's the tax sale man, and he
Yeah.
will literally talk to you on the phone." And I
Yeah.
was like, and I'm like, an attorney? Like I can just call this guy and and he literally got on the phone and talked to me. And, I never spent any money with him or anything, and he didn't rush
Right.
me. And I was like,
Yeah.
how cool is that? And
Right.
at some point, a few years later, I had this wholesale deal I was working, and I knew the urgency for the seller was it was coming. It was in the city. It was in Marine Villa. The
Sure.
thing was
Okay.
it was going to tax sale. And
Okay.
the guy waited too long to go under he was desperate and had no anyway. I was under the assumption that it was okay if we ran out of time, because then if we had a buyer lined up, we could just try to figure out the redemption or
Oh,
whatever.
right, right.
I got a hold of Dale, and he broke it down to me. He's like, "Hey, city and county are different. The
Yeah.
redemption in the county, if this was the county, you could maybe, if you wanted really truly wanted to buy it directly from the guy, maybe there'd be a redemption. The
Right.
city, you're not going to be able to do a redemption. You're going to da, da, da." And I'm like, it's bad news, but it's like this guy
Right.
literally just gets on the phone and like how many people would just get on the phone with somebody like, tell him he's asked out. I don't know,
Right. Right.
trying to leave
Exactly.
a voicemail,
Right.
and he just jumped on the phone.
Yeah.
So he seems like a cool guy.
He really is. He really is. And we had, I mean, we had a great time. He was there. He was very generous with his time. And, he's got that list. You get his tax sale list.
Yeah, and I'm on the email list.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Actually, every time
emails.
I've talked to him on the phone, he always asks me like, "Are you on my email list?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm going to send it out." And then he also does. I follow him on YouTube, so
Mm-hmm.
when you get close to the tax sale, which I think is coming up is
Yeah. Yeah.
coming
It's
August,
August. Yep.
he'll
It's
drop a
August.
video,
Yep.
and and so it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I was telling Peter, I'm like, he's on YouTube, right? You can just get on YouTube and he'll
Tons of free content. Tons of free content.
and so I there are people that I've met over the years who are very adept at buying. They know how to buy from tax sale. They
Right.
know to avoid the pitfalls. They know what their plan is for cleaning up the title, for quieting the title and all that stuff. But there's so many things that I think it was one of Dale's video I was watching. It's like, if you buy something at tax sale and there are renters in there, even if they're squatters, you can't just go in there and say I own the house now, or whatever. Like there's a
Right.
whole way of doing these things, like that, all these things that he's seen, mistakes that people have made over the years. There was another one he
Right.
talked about. I think these people had bought, they thought they were buying I'm making up this address, 2352 California Street,
Okay. Sure.
but they
Sure.
were actually buying 2352 California, or 2352A California, or 2352,
Oh.
and it ended up just being like an easement to the alley or something. It wasn't
Oh,
the
yes.
actual
Yes.
property and structure, and they
Yes.
had bid all this money thinking that they were getting a sweet deal on this
Yep.
building, and they were just buying like the back 4 feet of the lot, or the alley easement or something.
Yep.
It's like,
I think he
oh,
must have used that. He used that as an example during his presentation. He did. He did. And he showed us a picture of it. Yep. It was the easement in the
it's not
alley.
funny if you're the one that did it, but it's funny when you're the
Right. Right. It's like, holy crap. I remember the very first, and if you've heard me tell this story, I apologize, but I remember the very first tax sale I went to was right after listening to him, I think for the first time. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, let me get this tax sale list. And he had emailed it out, and I'm digging through it. And I'm like, it came on a map at the time where you like clicked on the address, take you to this map, and you could hover over the spot on the map, and it would tell you what the like starting bid was going to be and all this stuff. I'm like, sweet. So I like plotted out like 10 tax sales I wanted to drive past because I remembered it stuck in my head. Like, look, don't just pull up Google Maps and
Right.
look at Google Street View. He said, go to the place and look at its current condition. So I remember driving up to the very first house on the list that I had circled 10 properties we were going to drive by and go get out and look at. The very first one I pull up, it's this beautiful house in South City. I'm like, man, this thing's gorgeous. This is going to be amazing. I can't believe people are letting this go to taxes. My wife was driving. Like, she would drive to the address. I'd hop out. I'd do a real quick walk around, look at the house, whatever, peek in the window if I could, whatever. And this very first house we pull up to, I'm like, okay, you stay right here. I'll be right back. I hop out. I'm like, man, this is amazing. I'm walking down the sidewalk toward the back of the house. And again, as every step I take, I'm thinking how amazing this is going to be. This is going to be the house I buy for the first time at a tax sale. And I get to the corner to see the back of the house. The entire back of the house was blown out. Like a meth lab had exploded or something. The entire back of the house was gone. I was like, you're kidding me. It was a beautiful brick house. Oh man, I was so like, wow, that's why Dale said get out and look at every single house.
But if you had just even A, if you had just done Google Street View, or B, if you had even just driven by and been like, "Yep,
Right.
that's the one," you
Yeah.
would have been down there with your like.
Yeah. I'm gonna double it. You're right. I would have been suckered, man. That dude saved me so much money. So
Well, he's seen some real heartache and some people
yeah.
that thought that they had just hit the jackpot, you know. But even if you do get a good deal, like there's all the deal like I so there's and I don't totally, not only do I not totally understand it, I only comprehend it at the very most infantile level, enough
Right.
to know that I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, right.
there's the first year, the second year, the third year, and then you could be buying like the lien, or you can be
Right.
like, I think you have to buy the third year or something. Just and it's different depending on the city or the county or
Yeah.
which county.
Yeah. The rules are
Uh,
completely different. Yep.
but down here, I went to one tax sale a couple years ago down here in St. Francis County,
Okay.
and there's Lake Timberline is this kind of um, there are a lot of lots out there, and
Okay.
people, I guess they, if they're not doing anything with their lot, they give up on paying the taxes. And
Yeah.
that was the hot item out there, is people trying to buy these lots at Lake Timberline. And Lake
Okay.
Timberline's not a glamorous place, but you get water access, I guess, and
Okay.
I think it's a lot of the time people that live out there and they're trying to buy the lot next door to keep some other schmuck from getting
Yes.
whatever. But that's the hot item out. That was that year. They're just people, and all these people out there were they were bidding on these $1,500-$1,600 lots at Lake
Man.
Timberline. But and I went with my business partner, and he told me, he's like, man, we need to figure out these lots. Apparently they're in demand. If we can buy them cheap, and
Right.
people are willing to bid on them. Maybe we could just go direct to seller. But
Right.
at one point, I'd made it my mission to try to figure out buying from tax sale, but it got to where it was, even if you do win a good deal, it sounds like it still could be such a headache just trying to, if there are people in it, and then getting that quiet title, and the quiet title sounds like it can take a decent amount of time depending on what the situation is. So, but if you learn all of that, I mean,
Yeah.
that it seems like that could be a real good we've actually been kind of a different thing, but we've been following this website. What's the website? Let me tell you. Auction.com. They're
Okay.
doing
Okay.
closures, and we've been following some stuff in our neck of the woods down here.
Yeah.
But what we've, and some of them, it looks like they're actually doing them at the court. I'm looking at it now, courthouse steps, and some of them they're doing
Oh,
online. But even if they do them at the courthouse steps, you can still bid
oh
um,
wow.
online as well. But what we've been
Okay.
noticing, we've been following. There's like a couple of them where they went to auction.
Okay.
Now they're going back to auction because the reserve was never met.
Oh,
They're starting these things. Some of them they're starting them at these prices where it's like, oh, I got to get on that auction.
right.
You look and like the price is already up to a point where I'm kind of like, I don't think I could pay that for that house. And they
Mhm.
got really good pictures they've taken, but the reserve's still not met. And I'm guessing just that the lender just isn't ready to take a bleeding or a beating that somebody's gonna, so they just keep resetting the auction. I don't, have you ever bought anything from any kind of auction before?
The very first house I wholesaled was at an auction for it was so for anybody watching this and recording, this is how Rich Groves got his start. No, but so I had been, doing my research and knew I wanted to get into real estate investing, and I had done the course. I had gone to the Fortune Builders weekend thing, and I was looking online, YouTube University, and all that kind of stuff. And I knew I wanted to wholesale, right? So I'm like, okay, I was talking to my uncle about what I'm wanting to do, and he's like, well, there's a house, two doors down from, well, he lived with my grandmother, and he's like, house two doors down from grandma's, they are going to go up for auction. I was like, okay, well, in my mind, I was thinking, well, I'll show up to this auction just to get some business cards, maybe hand out my business cards. It'd be all good. And yeah, I'll do it that way. And I had just gotten my first business credit card in the mail, like literally maybe a week and a half before that. But anyway, so we're at this auction. We had asked them, like, we showed up the day before we went there and talked to the auctioneers, and we were like, just want to verify there's no like reserve, right? There's no minimum bid reserve. Whatever it ends up, that's it. They're like, yep, that's what we're doing for this. Whatever the winning bid is, the winning bid is. It's like, okay, this property had a 3 bedroom, 1 bath house with a crawl space. It had a second floor that really wasn't big enough for anything but storage, really. I mean, it wasn't tall enough to be bedrooms or whatever. But anyway, one of those old farmhouse type things, but
Mm-hmm.
they didn't build it very high on that second floor. But anyway, but it had a detached garage that they had converted into like a mother-in-law suite. It was actually a separate, I can't remember if it was a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. I think it was a 2 bedroom house. But it was, no power to it. I mean, it had a meter, the meter was pulled, and nobody had ever lived in it, whatever. So I'm like, okay, this would actually be cool because you could have two rental properties on the same house. Anyway, we're walking around and they started the bid at like $5,000. Nobody bids on it. Anyway, they ended up starting it down to like $500. Finally, a couple of hands went up, 600, 500, 1,000, whatever. And I look over, my uncle's bidding, and mind you, this dude doesn't have two nickels to rub together, and he's bidding. I'm like, what the freak? I go over to him, I walk casually over to him, like, hey, why are you bidding? He goes, I'm bidding for you. I was like, whoa, what? So I'm like, no, man, stop. I didn't come to buy a house. He goes, but look, it's barely $2,000. I was like, stop bidding. We'll see if it rides. Well, we won. It was like $2,170 or something. I bought, so that was so I got in their contract, and I wasn't ready. I didn't want to buy this house. I didn't have the funds or knew anybody that could lend me the money to rehab it or anything. I was brand new. This was my first one. And so I ended up, I put the 10% that was required down on my business credit card for the $217 plus fees or whatever, so like 225, I don't know, something like that. Put it on that business credit card. And I'm like, okay, I've got 30 freaking days to find a buyer, and we'll double close or we'll do what we need to do or whatever. And I just threw that thing out on, at the time, Craigslist, blowing it up all over Craigslist all the time, and ended up getting this guy with like $10,000 in cash that wanted to buy
Woo!
it, and we ended up making a little over 7,000 on the first deal, which doesn't sound like much for some people watching this now or whatever. But I mean, to me, I was like, man, that was a home run. I didn't
A
even
nice
want to
cash
go.
on cash return.
Yeah, I know, man. And it was like, I got pushed in, pushed in the pool. You're gonna
That
swim.
is
Here, go. Boom.
that's a freaking. I've never heard that story. That's an awesome story, man.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
for real. That's I It's like I don't know if somebody like if you were making a movie about somebody that
Yeah,
was wholesaling, like I don't know if you could write much better of a like an opening scene than that, you know?
yeah,
Like who
yeah.
you
That was.
bidding
I
for?
mean, that's
Why
true.
are
That
you
was
bidding? I'm bidding for you. Like, what do you mean you're
right.
bidding for me? And then you win, and then you find
Yeah,
like that's pretty dope.
yeah. It was pretty cool. And now, so the story continues. To dot 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 to be continued. One of my electricians, my electrician that works on these Cahokia houses for me, because Cahokia has a very strict electrical code where you have to hire somebody on their specific list. Like, here are the electricians you can hire, right? Boom,
Mhm.
that's it. To pull, like, you can't have anybody pull permit that's not on that list. Doesn't matter if they're a certified electrician for what state, what city, whatever, it doesn't matter. It has to be on their list. So I found this great guy, amazing guy. He's a great electrician. He's very fair. I'm like, man, I hope this guy never retires ever, because I want to use him forever. Um, but he's like, hey, I got a buddy that's got this house across town. He's looking to sell. He bought it. He was going to rehab it. He kind of got bored. He wants to. I think he bit off more than he could chew. He's like, he just wants to sell it. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I said, tell you what, let me send me the address. I'll take a look at it. And he calls me finally. And this has been like 2 weeks ago. He calls me yesterday, and I'm like, well, man, I can't go see it. Tying up some loose ends. I'm heading out of town. But next week I could definitely come see it. Why don't you shoot me the address so I can at least get ready, know what I'm walking into. He shoots me over the address. It's the exact address for that house I just told you the story about. I
Oh
go, dude,
wow.
this is the very first house I ever bought in Cahokia. He's like, man, it's come full circle. I go, I know. And I just drove by there a couple days because literally it's 2 doors down from what was my grandmother's house. And now my mom's inherited. My mom lives there now. But I'm like, literally, I was at my mom's and I drove by there, pulled in the driveway. I was shaking my head like, man, this guy bought this house so freaking dirt cheap. He couldn't even keep it. Man, it blew my mind. But they did move in and live there for a while, because I remember seeing my grandma, visiting my grandma, and there were people living in the house, but they never fixed up the mother-in-law house, suite, whatever. So I was like, you know what? Now that I know a lot more about what I'm doing, I might buy it, because he doesn't want much for it. He wants like 15K. I'm like, 15K for 2 houses, basically. I'm like, I might do it. I know that's 7 times more than what I paid for it originally, but but now that I know what I'm doing, man, that thing could DSCR. Jeez, I don't even want to think about how much money it could bring in. Crazy.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
so it sounds like the guy you sold it to actually moved into it, but then ended up letting it go to somebody else who
Yeah,
now is considering selling it back to you at this point.
yeah, yep, yep. That's exactly right.
Cahokia's got a lot of those. Like, if I haven't been to Cahokia a lot, but if it seems like if I remember, Cahokia has a lot of those like 3 bed, 1 bath, 950 square foot houses built in the 1950s type thing,
Yep,
kind of.
yep. GI Bill. Yep, GI Bill blew up. It blew up as a suburb of East St. Louis. It's kind of like as the flight was starting to happen out of East St. Louis. It was like people were, and I can say this because my grandma that I'm talking about, her mom and dad lived there. She grew up there. And when she met my grandfather and they got married and they were going to move, they were moving to Cahokia. And my great grandparents were like, why are you going to move out in the sticks? Kind of thing. Right? It was this rural little community outside of East St. Louis. And now I mean, it's like, if you depends on where you type it in, it comes up as East St. Louis, but it's different. I tell people it's not East St. Louis, it's different, but that's exactly what it was, man. People coming back from the Korean War, using their GI Bill right after World War II, using their money to build these nice, simple little small starter houses. And they were cute little subdivisions, and they really had one, maybe two plans. Like, each subdivision might have had a different plan, but you literally would walk in the house. It's on a ranch, it's on a slab. Every once in a while, you'll find a house with a basement. Just a house on a slab. You walk in, you're in the living room. Behind the wall at the living room is the kitchen. There's a little door that goes into the kitchen. Down the hallway to the left, you got the bathroom off to the right. And you got boom, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms down the hall, and that's it. And that's every single house was that made that way. Just about. There were a couple different variations, and one that blew my mind. And I don't know, we only got a little over a minute here, but was that I didn't know. Like maybe I was in the business about 5 years when I went to my first house in Cahokia, and I've done more than just Cahokia. It's just this is where all my funny
Yeah.
stories are a lot of times.
Right.
I walked in and literally you could see like where the drywall panels were in the wall because there was no like they didn't mud and tape them, tape and mud them. So I'm asking them like, what did they remodel and they didn't get around to mud and tape? And they go, no, that was one of the options when they built the house. One of the options was, did you want it mudded and taped or were you going to do that yourself? So his mom and dad
They just
opted to
painted.
do the do-it-yourself button tape and never did it. So they just painted over everything, kept the seam, all the seams for all the drywall panels were still in the wall. They just painted over them throughout the years. I'm like, you've got to
Functionality,
freaking
baby.
me. Yeah,
Functionality, and who need nobody? It doesn't need to be beautiful, just clean and
right,
fun.
right. I'm going to save $200 on this house by not having a mud and tape. You know, it's nuts, man, but it's great. It's a great return on investment right now. So I'm blowing that city up. We got one. We're just putting on the. We got a tenant moving in this coming week, maybe on the first, maybe a couple of days before. But we'll get a. They're getting 1,500 a month in rent, and we're going to sell it for 110 to 120, somewhere between that. And because it's still DSCR is like crazy, it's like a 1.4 DSCR.
Nice.
And then we've got one we're working on right now that we've just started the rehab process. That'll be a 3-1 on a slab that when we're all done, we're going to be all in for about 45 to 50, and we'll sell that for 105 to 110.
First,
So
first time home buyer type deal.
yeah, for either. Well, no, what's happening is a lot of people are DSCR in it. They're out of town.
You'll sell it to an investor.
Yeah, I'll sell it to an investor. I sold 2 of them already. Like the last 2 I sold were to a New Jersey investor who bought it for like 102.5 each, and the DSCR on that was like 105. I think I let Craig Schenneberger in. We're getting off, Craig. We're getting off, man.
Getting off of what? What's up, dog?
What's going on, brother? I know Craig got on to make sure I kept my word that we were going to get off at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Central Time.
Exactly.
Is it 7 o'clock now?
It's 7 o'clock right now.
Oh my gosh, Travis! Holy crap, dude!
Were we on at the wrong
That
time?
is why we were on at the wrong time. I'm freaking out on my phone.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh! Holy crap, dude!
Hey.
You do not have to stay on. I'm going to stop the YouTube.
I just got an hour of Rich Groves to myself, unfiltered. No,
True.
I got a
True.
one-on-one, baby.
Oh my!